I have watched across centuries, billions entering churches, bowing before sanctuaries, and meeting the pale, blue-eyed gaze of a European Christ, a figure more painting than prophet, the silent tyrant on sanctuary walls, worshipped as my son Yeshua himself. This image has been sold and duplicated to the tune of over 500 million copies, saturating homes, sanctuaries, and hearts worldwide. This gaslighted blueprint is the result of intentionally designed demonic white supremacy. This image of white Jesus was crafted on the anvil of global ambition, was, never, an honest mistake. It was a strategic lie for the descendants of Cain and the birth of white power better known as evil. They created a lie, which suggests that me and my heaven, has a color code. Its message: God made some to rule and others to serve. I never did. The white Jesus became the image for manifest destiny, the face of evil conquest and ownership, from the lands of indigenous people worldwide. In America, even black churches, home of my most precious people, sometimes clung to this image as survival. Challenging it carried risks of ostracism, violence, and economic retaliation from the dominant white order. In their pews, worshipping a white Jesus was at times a price paid to exist, but it was never an act of grim necessity. It was an act of gaslighting ignorance. The longer a person spends riding this demonic wrong bus, the greater the psychic and spiritual fare due and the more expensive it is to return home to me. Each sermon under the gaze of a white Christ entrenches a racial hierarchy, hardening the myth that white is synonymous with holy, powerful, and preordained. That's the furthest thing from the truth. The pale-faced blue-eyed image itself became a bludgeon to enforce social, economic, and spiritual subservience. Generations of melanated children around the world grew up learning that their savior did not look like them. Understand, the hopeful result that whites wanted for the psychological and spiritual carnage of their white Jesus was internalized inferiority for people worldwide. Churches that should have been centers for liberation instead incubated a slavish devotion to a fiction, keeping congregants from the truth of their faith and heritage, believing the notion of the Antichrist as liberator of the oppressed. The road home to me is bloody and expensive, full of demonic traps and pitfalls if in your mind white makes right. Once informed, all must fight not just for a new image of Yeshua, but also for the reclamation of self. They must confront ostracism within and without, tearing down the old icons to build new models that reflect the true, historic face of Yeshua, an African man, not a European fabrication. Every moment spent riding the wrong bus of white Jesus worship is time lost in cultural isolation, in self-estrangement, and in psychological enslavement. I realize and grieve the loss of those unwilling to let go of comforting lies, but the real tragedy, the longest detour, means staying on the wrong spiritual bus and awaking one day to find home, heaven, almost out of reach. This is called spiritual bankruptcy. The longer the ride, the higher the cost. Only by jumping off the nonsense, no matter how deep the wilderness or how steep the price, will a person find the route back home to truth, power, and dignity in me. Pray for the children, they are really going to need me. The odds of change are upon you. This new normal is evil and demonic. People are seeing it in real time. Let the true Savior, Yeshua, bring them to me. It is the only way. Strengthen your family bonds with your children and spouses. The Antichrist is a predator. He loves the angry, mean, and self-centered ones. He preys on narcissistic personalities. I will let him have these types, for I have no use for people I can't trust in heaven. He sees you as easy, low-hanging fruit that he can harvest easily. He plans to divide families, marriages, finances, and then destroy them. He will succeed if either spouse puts his or her selfish needs above their family in the pursuit of financial gains and silly self-glory. He is a killer. If anyone aligns himself with him and disobey my dominion, I will hold them as guilty of mayhem and murder as I will the Antichrist. Time is winding down. Yeshua and your family are more important than anything else. All must circle the wagons and form a protected barrier for their families against the Antichrist and the odds of change. You must show love and affection to the right ones in your circle and treat them right. Otherwise your disobedience is only showing love to the fake white Jesus and the Antichrist. That's a slap in my face. Come in out of the demonic reign. My spiritual umbrella is your only shield from demonic misery. Seek the real Yeshua.